Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast. I'm Chris, joined by my brothers Adam
Hello.
and Eric.
Hello.
We are back in the room once more to talk about video games. With this week focusing on, we're going to do something we haven't done in a while. We're going to focus on one game in particular, which is, we've done it in the past for many, many games, but we're going to do it this time around to celebrate kind of the recent release of Resident Evil Village. At time of recording, the game is only literally just out. Some people have had their hands on it. Some people don't yet. Mine's on the way. I don't have it yet. Eric got his a day early and I think has already cleared it. Is that right, Eric?
Visual cue. Sorry, I put my thumbs up. Yeah.
So what we're going to do now actually is we're actually going to go back and do an entire episode on Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, which I think a lot of people are going to be revisiting to play this game anyway. There's a resurgence in this game. It's definitely topical at the moment. And because Ori 8 has been said to be sort of a direct sequel, so to speak, and you're playing as Ethan Winters, there's even there was an edition of Ori Village that came out that if you pre-ordered it, you got Biohazard with it, right? So it's very clear that the developers want people to have played Biohazard as well. So with that in mind, because we all haven't played Ori Village yet, we're going to go back and give our take on Biohazard, which is a game that we have talked about before when we did our Resident Evil episode, and also in our Ori 8 impressions. It's hard not to do kind of comparisons, but we haven't done a deep dive on it or a full dedicated episode to it. So that's what this whole episode is going to be about. However, stick around to the end as well, because at the very end, Eric is going to give his non-spoiler review to us on Ori Village. It's going to be non-spoiler, so if you haven't played it yet, that's all cool. And also, we don't want to spoil on us either, but he's going to give us his impressions. He has cleared it, so he'll be able to give us, in great detail, the overall pace of the game and stuff like that, without giving away any of the story details. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to jump down into the comments at any point to give your own thoughts on both Ori 7 and Ori Village, but please do be mindful of spoilers. And if you enjoyed this at any point, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and click that notification bell so you know when we put out future content. This is on audio platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Google Podcasts. Wherever you like to listen to us, make sure to hit that follow button up at the top, download an episode if you'd like to listen on the go. And also get in touch with us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Brothers Take, again, to let us know your take on Ori 7 and also Ori 8. Be mindful of spoilers. Without further ado, welcome to the family, son. I think just so people know as well, now that we're getting into this, in classic Brothers Take style, we're going to talk non-spoiler about Ori 7 first, right? That'll probably have the shortest chunk of this episode, but the reason for that is because you could be someone who's just about to jump into 7, you have played it before. You might like to get just a little bit of a take on it before we go full spoilers. This game has obviously been out a few years, so this will be the shortest section of this episode. And we will give fair spoiler warning when we move on. But it's also a very good opportunity for us to talk about the things that aren't the story. Because once you get into story stuff, sometimes you can ramble. So it's a good focal point for us to talk about the gameplay and the atmosphere and that kind of stuff too first. So starting off with non-spoilers, Ori 7. What's your general take on it? Adam, I'm going to come to you first.
General take. There's not much to say on Ori 7 without getting into spoilers.
It's going to be the shortest section.
Yeah. I think initially when it first came out, there was this comparison to PT a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The house that you enter in it, although much worse looking, but it's this kind of normal-ish looking household with some weird shit happening and a sense of the place is haunted. But I think that was just probably a coincidence.
Right.
That they just came out kind of similar. And in kind of similar time frame as well. But this kind of filled that gap. While also bringing Resident Evil returning back to its former glory, which, it supposedly being a horror game, survival horror game, not an action game. So it was It was much needed, and it's great to see Resident Evil as a series now being, loved and celebrated rather than it, being a pain in the scene every time there's a new release. You're just like, oh god, another Resident Evil, because it was getting to that point.
Right.
Although, like,
it got there quickly though, didn't it? It like Ori 4,
yeah,
everyone was like, "This is the best game ever." Then
Yeah.
Ori 5, it was like it wasn't terrible, but it was like everyone felt this was sort of a step in the wrong direction, and it's like they tried to make Ori 4 more fun with like a co-op gameplay thing, but as a
Five.
result, or 5, I mean, sorry. No, what I mean is they tried to make Ori 4 again, but more fun
sorry.
with like a co-op like gameplay style. So now it's like, play with your buddy. It's gonna be fun. It's kind of a Metal Gear Solid kind of action game more so. And then Ori 6, I think people were just like within that short space of time. There hasn't been that many games where people are already exhausted, like totally fatigued by it, and just like, what? This is absolutely not what I want at all. It seems to be the lowest point in the sort of Resident Evil, and it was supposed to be the highest point because it was like celebrated as this like culmination of everything that come before. There was so many characters in it. Leon and Chris, I remember that cutscene where they fight for the first time, and you're like, oh my god, Leon versus Chris. And then it's like actually, what's that got to do with like the Resident Evil gameplay and stuff, right? It's like, why didn't they just make a CG movie or something out of 6 rather than
it does. It seems like the Mortal Kombat annihilation of the Resident Evil series.
That's harsh. But you're right, like Ori 7 felt like kind of a resurgence that was
what I really, really love about 7 is its simplicity. Like it just brings it all the way back down to, like, it feels like you're playing the first one again.
Right.
Without it being a direct copy. There's just something about the feel of it being very simplistic in terms of just the survival side of things. And they've shifted everything. Like, it's a huge change. It's a huge departure from Resident Evil, going to first person and being, very few enemies, really. There's not like a shit ton of enemies that you're fighting with loads of bosses. It's like a handful of characters that you're encountering a few times. So it's that kind of patrolling like character that you would have seen in something like Outlast. So it's a huge departure, but there's just something about it feels so familiar. Like, that is more Resident Evil than everything that came after 3.
Everything that came after 3?
Yeah, like 4, Resident Evil 4 is an incredible game that opens up the possible directions that Resident Evil can go in.
Right.
It just so happens to open it up into the wrong direction.
No, I'm just shocked that you disregarded Code Veronica more so. Everyone's favorite Resident Evil game.
I've never owned a Dreamcast, so I can't
believe you said everything after Resident 3. I just can't believe you said that.
Isn't that Resident Evil 3?
No.
No, but it should be really. It should be Resident Evil Nemesis and then Resident Evil 3, because in terms of story,
Nemesis is a Resi 2 DLC. Let's be fair.
It really is. It really is.
It's an expansion pack.
I would agree. It should be. Yeah. Eric, what's your general take on Ori 7?
First seeing it, I mean, like with the first person, they were able to kind of reel it back into being that horror and stuff, because everything's now in your face. And but the graphics was such a huge jump, right? Because from 6. You look at 6 and you kind of go, that looks like it's a drop down from 5. So it's like
right.
6 just didn't have good graphics at all, or at least it was so dark you couldn't see if the graphics were good or not. But then at 7, they had the lighting was so good, the reflection of the freaking wooden floor, like the only thing they didn't really get right was like the face and hair. That's about it. I think everything else was
foliage. I think we've discussed.
Foliage. Foliage.
Horrendous.
Oh god, yeah.
So anything that's quite natural looking, they just can't seem to get right. But all the walls, floor, lighting, everything was really, really good. And then just like what Adam said, having it's a much smaller location with a few enemies, almost kind of made it more scary, at least, like, especially it being first person, because everything's right in your face and everything. So I thought it was very, very cool and
it's
very
an isolated horror too. Like I think
Yeah.
that's what's terrifying about like the very first Resident Evil is that you're in a mansion that no one else knows about. Right?
Yes.
You're experiencing it. And then
Yeah.
when it gets to the second one, yeah, it's cool opening up to Raccoon City and it's like an entire city now that's
Yeah,
like
the outbreak. Yeah.
and it's but that is scary. That's incredibly scary, obviously. But then it starts to get like Resident Evil starts to become more worldwide horror.
Mhm.
Like there's shit happening everywhere and everyone knows about this stuff now. And 7 being back to this kind of swamp house area where people don't really know anything about the area. There's some rumors about what's going on. And you have absolutely like where are you going to run to? You're probably miles away from anyone to call for help.
Plus,
Is it-
the cops in the area are useless, which we'll get to
Yeah,
in spoilers,
yeah.
but they're really not helpful.
No, but yeah, it kind of brings it down to that sort of realistic horror. I think Chris, you said it before to me and to Adam, I think as well. But like even
Both of you.
without, yeah, to both of us,
Perhaps.
perhaps.
Possibly.
Stop interrupting me.
What are you trying to say, Eric?
What are you saying?
What are you trying to
I'm
say?
trying to say that because of the fact that it's isolated and you're with this like hillbilly family, that it's believable.
Well, yeah, to some extent.
To some
Right.
extent,
Yeah, to
that
some
they're
extent.
in isolated areas across the world, not just Louisiana, but that there
Yeah,
are
like
some crazy families out there across.
maybe you could meet a family like this, and maybe something like this could happen.
Not to the extreme extent that Resident Evil 7 is, but
No. Yeah. I remember when they announced this, and I was like, "Oh my god, that looks so fucking scary! I can't wait not to play this." Like, I think it's like a compliment to the game for people to be able to say the new Resident Evil is terrifying.
Mm.
Yeah,
After
when's the last time you
of-
said that?
yeah, after the kind of experience, like what had happened to the series, which is like, like a good game is a good game, but at the same time, if you lose the magic a bit, like I feel like Resi 6 was a little bit like, for me personally, what happened with the Phantom Pain,
Yeah.
where it's like, yeah, there's like good stuff in this. This is maybe a good game of its own right, but all of the DNA that made the series what it was is gone, and as a result, this feels soulless almost. It feels like
Yeah.
there's, it's just missing the magic that I come here for.
Soulless Snake, yes.
Soulless Snake. Oh my god, that's an amazing name. Use that. But RE7 has a horrible soul. It's definitely fucking scary. I mean, I've said it before, but I think it's the scariest Resident Evil that I've played. Maybe Village will change my mind. I don't know yet. And particularly, like, after a while, it's okay. But particularly the opening section of the game,
Mm-hmm.
without saying what that is, but like really, really scary. And if you're going to play it for the first time, like, just know that if you're scared, it does get easier. You just have to kind of push on through. But the beginning section of the game, I think, is just, from what I've experienced so far, the scariest thing that any Resident Evil game has ever done. In terms of atmosphere and lighting, and well, the atmosphere that they've captured in this game is really, really special. Like, it just feels scary all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
scary. And you're like ready for like jump scares and stuff. But another thing that I really like about this game is it pays homage to a lot of different horror genres and movies and stuff. So like there's some Texas Chainsaw Massacre in here. There's some Exorcism, as far as I'm concerned, some Blair Witch Project kind of stuff. There's found footage horror movies.
Saw. There's kind of like a Saw in it as well. Yeah.
There's loads of stuff in there, and then there's also, like, I think the beginning is the part that feels the less Resident Evil. The more it goes on, the more Resident Evil it becomes, and you get
it absolutely does.
follow the flow, and then you go, there's Resident Evil, and this whole first person thing. Like, if you're worried, it's like, oh, it's not gonna feel like Resident Evil if it's first person. It really does. They really do capture that Resident Evil essence while shifting the perspective, which is a good thing. I think it made it fresh.
Well, I love it as well, the promo leading up to the game, like the promotional material and the things that they're doing, like sending reviewers packages that would have like tapes in it.
Yeah.
So the reviewers would actually have to go fucking find a television that could play like it has a VCR, so they could actually play these tapes to see the promo material on it. And like we see this type of promotional like stuff being leading up to all kinds of games, and they're always really, really cool.
Yeah.
But they never really land a lot of times, like where the hype doesn't quite live up to the actual game, or the game doesn't live up to the hype. And this is the first time where it absolutely does. So they must have been incredibly confident with the product that they had.
Well, I think they, from testing it and stuff, maybe they felt like they were like, okay, our biggest complaint about 6 was that it's not at all scary.
Yeah.
So let's really amp that up. And then when they tested it and people were like, this is fucking terrifying, I don't want to play your game. And they're like, great, let's put it in VR.
yeah.
Great, yeah, this is working, this is good. But I love all that VHS tape stuff. I think that's
it's fantastic. It's a great
cool
mechanic.
Yeah, I think it's really, really cool. And I also love the, just in terms of like the marketing and stuff of it, like Village, it's not as clever. It feels a little bit forced. But this time, because it was the first time they did it, when they named it Resident Evil Biohazard or Biohazard Resident Evil with 7 in the name, it was like either as a number in Japan or as a Roman numeral in, the
and I
international.
think wasn't it like it was just announced as Resident Evil Biohazard, and it almost felt like, is this like a soft reboot or something because of the way the gameplay has changed and all this stuff. And then as kind of months went on, then they revealed the 7 within it.
Yes, and then of course,
and it was like the greatest thing.
Yeah, because it's like it is in front of your face, but it's just that you're not looking at it that way. And then when you put the game in, it does actually just boldly say Resident Evil 7 on the menu. So it's not just like, oh, it's like kind of 7, but it's not really 7. It's like, no, this is Resident Evil 7, and a bold new direction, and it's fucking cool.
I love when they even had the demo for it.
The demo was great.
They kept expanding onto the demo to introduce new mechanics and stuff to you, so you can get a feel for it, like, which was great. I miss demos,
and that's probably is the best demo I've ever played, apart from PT, I'd say, because the demo itself, I remember the first time we played it, it was like, there's not much to this, and then I tried it a week later, and there's more to it, and then you keep playing it, or not a week later, but a couple of weeks later, they keep adding to it leading up to the game, and then if you complete the demo, then you have that little antique coin that you carry over, which you save file into the main game, so that you can use it in the game as currency. I just think that's fucking clever. That's so good.
Well, I think they've been very good with their, like, Capcom have been. I think they were more interesting with their demos for this game, but I think like their demos for RE Village were fucking cool too. And like they didn't have to do demos really, because like, most people who had played 7 and who were like, oh, Resident Evil's back, and they saw the trailers for Village and they were just excited at the kind of RE4 DNA in there as well. They were like, a lot of Resident Evil fans had like already pre-ordered it the second the trailer came out. So they didn't even have to do demos, but I think it's cool that they kind of were like, let's do demos, let's give them a taste of it. It's just it's a nice thing to do, and it pumps people up and it gets people talking about it as they're playing it. In terms of any other non-spoiler stuff, I suppose the only other thing we could talk about is maybe like the mood, which goes hand in hand with like the music and sound effects.
Oh, the sound. Like that's what really makes it like, okay, this is Resi. Like, how does the safe room sound so familiar,
reminiscent?
But it's different. It's a completely different tune than any other Resi game, but it's like, oh yeah, this is the safe room.
You just know, don't
when you hear it. Yeah.
There must be. Do they use a melody and then warp it or change it every single time? That it's not recognizable, but your brain just recognizes it somewhat. I feel like there's a similar melody in there, but it's just that it's been warped or shifted or changed,
and even the inventory sounds, like swapping your weapons around and reorganizing your inventory, like that sounds like the old ones as well, but it's different.
And picking up key items, or whatever it is, but it's just the even the like the sounds of doors opening and closing and floors creaking and.
I think the keys were very good in it.
Keys? What do you mean? Like the.
Like in Resident Evil is always renowned for it's like, here's this door with this symbol, so you must get a key that matches that symbol, and you can't think to yourself, why does this police station have these weird ass keys?
Yeah.
But Resi 7 actually had a really good, a good design to it, not just within the sound and music, but actually within the map design, the level design, and their reasoning for the doors having this symbol and then the keys having this symbol that matches and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in some cases, and in other cases, it's just bonkers Resident Evil shit where you're like, what kind of a fucking house is this? It's like, I left my keys in that other room. Now I have to solve some shadow puppetry to get them. You're like,
but they had, I think there was like a note sort of explaining it, which was also good that they actually they created depth to the world so that it felt slightly more believable rather than the police station.
Well, I think the thing is that this game is not that it's believable, right? Because you know that there's a kind of supernatural element or there's something really strange going on, right? But it's grounded, and I don't mean grounded in our world, but it grounds itself in its own world, and it sets rules and boundaries, and it doesn't go too far beyond those. Maybe save for like the very end, and we can talk about that. But like in some of the games, there's monsters, and you're like, how did that even fucking happen? And what has that got to do with this tiny T virus? Like, what the fuck? Like, I've always this memory in Resident Evil 5. I think you have to fight it twice, and it's like this giant bat with a centipede bottom, and it's huge, and you're like, what the fuck even is that? And like, cool, it's a boss fight, but it's like a Devil May Cry boss fight where what has that got to do with this little tiny parasite that is inside people? What the fuck is going on? And they never explain it. Or like the guy who takes the thing and he falls into the water and he comes back out seconds later as this giant fucking sea monster. And you're like, what? Like, grounded a little bit. And I think 7 is probably the most grounded Resident Evil game. And maybe in some ways that makes it also the scariest.
Because essentially everything has like a reason.
Yeah, it kind of falls within this.
Unlike when you like Resident Evil 1 and you're in the library and then all of a sudden this giant fucking snake comes around, I was like, what?
Yeah, well, and it goes invisible and stuff, and you're like, what?
That snake is in
cool,
Resident
I
Evil.
know it's a boss fight, it's a game, cool,
6,
but it's like, what's that got to, what? Did they ever explain that shit? I don't know if they do. The T-virus works differently if it's in an animal or something. I don't know. I actually don't know what the viruses do. They do whatever the director wants them to do, depending on who it goes into, is what it seems to be. But anyway. So this one was slightly a bit different. So I think next we might as well go straight into spoilers. We've talked about the mood of the game, the shift in gameplay, but it still feels like a Resident Evil game. It is a bit scary, but it's less combat heavy than previous Resident Evil. So if you're someone who's looking to jump into it now, and you're worried about like action, it's not very action heavy. But if you are worried about like it being scary, I can't lie to you, it is pretty scary. But it gets easier as it goes. So
and then it doesn't.
Bear that in mind. And then it doesn't again. But from now on, spoilers for RE7 Biohazard. So just bear that in mind, and everyone who's played it before, welcome to the chat, and make sure to jump into any comments or touch us up on social media to talk about the spoilers of the story. Fuck me. That beginning section of that game is fucking terrifying every single time I fucking play it. Holy shit. Mia is a scary bitch.
Oh, Mia? I don't find that bit too bad. It's how
Jack. Dark the place is.
It's Jack. It's just
Jack's pretty scary.
It doesn't matter how many times I play that game. Like I've got like a method for like everyone else, but Jack is just so spontaneous. I just find him very difficult to.
I was very surprised.
Key.
I was replaying it there recently, and I got around Jack really quick this time, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's the quickest I've ever done that." I was like, the key was just to kind of go for it, wasn't it? It's like you just go, like don't even bother hide from him, just fucking run. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
maybe.
Did you get
Maybe I
your
just
foot
got
cut
lucky.
off?
No, he
Huh?
didn't attack me at all.
Huh? That's weird.
He like, when he bursts through the wall, and
Yeah.
you're like, fuck. So I ran through the wall, and then
Yeah.
went, and he follows you, and then I went down the hall and ran back out, and ran all the way down and got the key, and then when he's circling back around the hall to get to you, I went back through that hole and then went straight to the hatch. And I was like, but I was panicking the whole time. I was going, fuck, as you do. But I was like, holy shit, did I do that? I did it.
Yeah, but it's the next bit I find. It's when you're in the bigger house.
Oh yeah,
with
yeah,
the staircase and stuff.
Stalk you around then. Yeah,
he's stalking you around that, like that. I never find a decent way to get through that. Easy, like.
I think I have the most trouble. The very first part with Jack in that hallway by the kitchen, and I think once it opens up, I find it way easier because there is way more directions to go, and you can kind of use a gun. Maybe that's just me though.
I know, but you're kind of like, you want that safe area, don't you? And you're like, it's just not there, and so you're just stressed about going anywhere. And you find a safe room and you stay there, and you go, that's me for the game now. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Great time. Thank you. Speaking of the bakers, which one of them do you like the most or found the most effective?
Well, for first basis, Jack would be the most effective.
Mm-hmm.
Because his section is the scariest and the sort of hardest part of the game and everything. And he is stalking you and you don't really have much. And you are just learning the ropes and trying to figure the whole thing out. So he is kind of the scariest in that regard. But the most interesting I found was Lucas when you actually delve into the story of the game.
Yeah, so he's infected, right? But he's free of her control. Is that right? He's free of Evelyn's control?
He was infected. He cured himself.
Yeah, he that's how he has all the stuff, isn't he, in his kind of basement area.
Does he not still have the abilities though? Because Jack cuts his hand off at the start. Does his hand not grow back? It does, right?
I don't know, actually. Can't remember.
Oh no, so
he says not again, and he's not too worried about it.
Okay, so he still has the mold, but yeah, he's done something that freed himself from Evelyn's control.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So he frees himself of Evelyn's control, but he still has the mold fungus abilities.
Yeah, and he's so fucked up that Evelyn thinks that he is like, she has control over him.
So that's another question I have, right? And again, this is the total spoiler discussion, right? But Evelyn, who's a little girl and has the family under her control, and first of all, put a little girl in a game like this, and I'm fucking out, man. That's scary shit. But so she has control over the family because she wants a family, and I get that, and that's really fucking cool. I think that's a great plot. Why does she make them do such nasty shit? What is wrong with her?
Because as far as she's concerned, that's what families do. Because when she was being taken care of by Mia and Mia's partner, there was always tests and shit.
Right, but like,
So
well, I mean, it's like,
but she's also
the horrible stuff.
I mean,
she's and stuff.
You know, being I don't even think I don't think she had a mother. I think she was grown. Essentially, she's a product. So
she's a bioweapon, right?
Like, yeah. So you know, it's like, does she grow with empathy? Can you teach her empathy? It's hard to know. They send these children out into war zones to kill people anyway. So,
do you think that's her instinct then? Is to kill, but then she wanted a family, and so there's this like strange fucked up shit where like she wants a family, but she can't help her instincts to kill.
Well, I think it's probably there's a level of like, you know, when she doesn't get what she wants, it's like immediately she'll just kill.
Yes, resort to violence.
Yeah.
In the most horrible
partially
way.
forcing people, like she's forcing people to be her family, and any type of forcing is violent, really, isn't it? So it's just the way it goes.
Another thing that I missed that had me wondering, I've never kind of picked this up, but Eric, you've played it quite a few times, and Adam, you've played it quite a few times, so one of you might be able to clear it up for me anyway. And if none of you can, maybe someone in the comments can. But the bakers, what do they do for a living that they have a fucking morgue in their house? Like, what's going on there? Why do they have a dissection room in their house?
Well, I think right, so it's a baker estate. There's a lot more than just those bakers that are there.
Right.
We just that's in that game. That's all we see really. But there would have been a larger state. So it's hard. It's a plantation. There may have been
Like a doctor or.
possibly or was it installed? I don't know. It's hard to.
So that's.
I
But
don't really.
I'm
don't
trying to
really
make
clear
sure I
that up.
didn't miss anything. Like that's not actually
No.
like explained anywhere or anything. Like Jack himself wasn't like a doctor or with his own
No,
private
he
morgue.
was a. I think he was a Marine actually. I think he's an ex-Marine.
Oh.
But
Don't
he has a
you
brother.
fuck with me.
He has a brother that lives
His brother
nearby.
Joe in the DLC and
Yeah.
the Zoe. Yeah, he goes around
Yeah.
punching the fuck out of molds.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty badass. He's a hermit. He just lives on his own and lives off the land.
Just lives in like a little cabin, doesn't he, or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then
Fuck, cool.
Margaret.
Marguerite?
Marguerite, yeah.
I don't know what she does. I think she's a housewife. Think.
Well, they're wealthy, obviously, aren't they? Like they've huge land and
Yeah.
stuff.
Look, yeah. I'm assuming they've taken up farming at some point as well. So yeah, there's probably a few. I mean, a few of those molded could have been
Family
bakers.
members.
Could have been family members. Like, so yeah, one of them
Yeah.
might have been a doctor, another one might have been like a farmer, because there's a huge. Lucas obviously turns the big giant barn into his playground.
Yeah, he's fucked up. What do you guys think about the molded as new Resi creatures?
They didn't feel like new Resident Evil creatures, really. They just felt like they were straight out of one of the kind of side Resi games.
Yeah.
It definitely made it feel like Resident Evil.
Definitely. No, they did feel like, I think when they come into it, you're like, oh, there's that Resident Evil-ness that
Yeah.
maybe I was missing. Like you get it from the puzzles as well. But as soon as they come in, you're like, okay, here's my like throwaway zombie bioweapon monster things. Okay. I recognize this.
Yeah, I found their reasoning was a lot better than a lot of other Resident Evil games. Like,
The story to this is is fantastic.
Yeah.
Like,
but,
it's actually, it is quite simple, really, but I think what makes the game so intriguing is the mystery. It's like, okay, what the hell's going on? And then it just keeps becoming more mysterious, and nothing is connecting. There's all kinds of things being thrown around the place now. You've got molded, you got this fucking crazy family, and now you're seeing a little girl, and you're like, what the hell is going on? And then in one little kind of chapter, I suppose, it just ties it all together so beautifully.
Yeah.
Well, that's like, I love stories like that. Like they always work for me, especially in horror. It was like, another one was Until Dawn, for example, where you're like, there's so much weird shit and so many homages, and you're like, how is any of this connected? And the answer is one. Like, there's one answer that explains everything. That always works for me. If there's too many explanations, it's too convoluted. And not that I can't follow it, but just that it's less interesting. Rather than one thing that goes, oh shit, it's your oh shit moment. It's like, oh, it was that all along. So having that Evelyn, the little girl you're seeing, is actually controlling everything and has infected everyone with this like fungus mold thing, and once it's in you, she controls you. That's just.
And she was there the whole time. It was Agatha all along.
Yeah, MCU fans are gonna love that joke. Eric has no idea what it means.
I thought you were talking about like Agatha Christie or some shit. I didn't even realize that.
I love the idea and the story behind the molded. I hate their design.
Oh yeah. Design is silly.
Just big fucking teeth. That's all I can see is just big fucking teeth.
Yeah.
I don't know. It kind of looks like a child's drawing, and maybe that's something in the design. Like, you know what? I love it now. It's genius. It's what Evelyn imagines monsters look like.
No, those are her family.
Those are the failed ones. People who didn't properly bond with molded became that. So maybe there's some sort of they're slightly inspired off the Ouroboros design from.
Well, they kind of look a bit reminiscent of that, actually. I like how the mold looks all over the environment. I think that's really cool, like the black kind of Stranger Things style vines and stuff. It's just the actual molded creatures that like just big long fangs or claws even, and the big teeth.
Yeah,
looks slightly cartoony to me, and not particularly scary.
I like that there's types of them in that there's just like the molded has changed them rather than, like you said before, it's like what is this giant bat? What's it got to do with anything? Where did it come from? Like most Resident Evil games, that tend to have the whole like.
I think the
lots
molded thing, it's probably scarier for the person who becomes it, isn't it? There's an element of body horror there.
Oh,
Could you
100%.
imagine
Yeah.
like seeing yourself turning into that?
But even like I love that bit on the ship, which I suppose is the part you're talking about, where it all kind of comes together, right?
Yeah.
Where her partner, Mia's partner, starts like, you know, he can feel Evelyn in his head, and he's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean like what he said, and he starts fucking puking up all the fucking mold shit, and it's disgusting. Like, it's horrible. But that idea of like her being kind of everywhere all at once and being able to kind of infect you just from your mind. And let the fungus grow from there is kind of a really scary. Like, she's one of the most dangerous bioweapons in Resi lore, I find.
Yeah.
Especially because she's a fucking child, or appears to be a child.
Yeah, well, she's given.
She's not.
Yeah, and isn't she constantly injected with something to keep her looking young?
Yeah, and then when
she starts growing old, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She starts to rapid age deteriorate. It's
Which
too.
is
I
really
think. I think they have that. The reason they age fast is to ensure that they can't be around for too long.
No, the reason for the aging fast was that they wanted to, once they made them, they wanted them to grow to look like a 10-year-old girl as fast as they could to deploy it into military operations.
And not have to.
Oh, I thought.
And then they have to just keep injecting the bioweapon then to make sure that they don't grow past that. So it's really just it was a manufacturing reason. It was to get it out there.
I thought it was it was that, but it was also a safety mechanism that if it does escape, like Evelyn does, she won't last that long.
Yeah,
because it's like a year or two.
Well,
Or
it could be.
just keeps
It could be.
aging,
There's 3 years, I think, between when she gets to Baker's and when I believe Mia was missing for 3 years, and then
Yeah.
Ethan comes and finds her. Okay, we have to talk about Ethan for a moment. He was your protagonist, right? The gameplay is great. Playing in first person is great. Is the guy even fucking trying? I really find that the voice acting for some of the characters is actually really good.
Yeah.
And for Ethan, it's fucking piss poor.
Yeah, he's not a great protagonist. He's almost he's quite forget. I'm surprised he's in 8. If I'm gonna be honest, I'm surprised that they're continuing.
Yeah, I'm
him.
wondering if like there's a really good reason for that. Like maybe these 2 games are actually way more connected than people realize.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly, but we won't. Well, Eric knows, but we won't. We don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I was surprised too. Well, actually, what I heard though was this is interesting. Ori 8 started development 6 months before Ori 7 came out.
Wow.
Therefore, they were kind of still in Ethan mode, and this is before the Ori 2 and 3 remakes were out, and people kind of responded well to them. But they were already in the middle of making this, continuation, this first-person game, this Ethan Winters game, and that might have been a big reason for it too. Like they'd already started the work on it. So
Maybe.
there you go.
I'd be interested to see the connection there. But yeah, he's not a. You don't come out of it going, "Wow, Ethan's a badass," huh?
No,
You don't come out of it thinking that he has any emotion.
Yeah, I don't even need him to be a badass. I actually kind of like the everyday man who's just trying to survive this fucked up night. I think that's cool, but
It gets a little bit out of hand, though, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Like, it's a bit. It gets a bit much.
Yeah, and you're like, obviously none of it is rooted in like reality, but like, does stapling a person's hand on mean that you can use it again?
Yeah, they didn't ever actually fully explain that. I just assumed that maybe it was under Evelyn's control, kind of like he was slightly maybe infected a little bit, that he was able to get his arm back. But
that'd be interesting but that never really came out, did it?
Yeah, but once she's dead, then that would assume that his hand just falls off, right?
Not necessarily. Once she's dead,
the hand is stapled on, but it's when he cut off the leg and he pours some like water onto it and just puts his legs back on.
Yeah, that's where it's just like this is just game shit. This is just stupid. This is not.
Yeah.
But Eric, how did you find Ethan as a protagonist?
No, I mean like when he finds Mia the first time, right?
Yeah, down in the dungeon.
Yeah. Wow, Mia, what's going on? He was super worried. You've almost a Jill sandwich. All right, it's fucking shit. Like it's even like just before you get to her, you're going through like a flooded hallway or something, and
Yeah.
his body just rises up, and he barely reacts to it.
Yeah, he's not scared enough
No.
in his voice delivery.
Or
Um,
cares enough. Like he's not worried about Mia that much, innit?
Yeah, I think like there's a kind of a balance that you need to strike here. One is, yes, he doesn't react to the body, but you do anyway as a player, so that's fine.
yes. Yeah, there's an element of
But
that.
then when it's communicating with other characters in game for story reasons, then there should be definitely a lot more emotion.
That's where it falls more. Because
Yeah.
yes, like if a jump scare gets you, you don't even realize what Ethan's saying anyway, because the jump scare got you. You'll only notice that your second or third playthrough where you're like, Jesus, this guy's not saying or doing anything. If you're expecting the scare and you're numb to it at this point. But during interactions and stuff, like that first time he meets Mia, he hasn't seen her in 3 years. Like he has already seen enough shit to warrant getting the fuck out of there. He hasn't even met the Bakers yet. But for me, like as soon as I'm seeing fucking, weird tribal looking shit hanging in the trees before I even get into the house,
Oh,
I'm like,
gone. See you later. I am so sorry, Mia.
she must be dead. Like, well, I would definitely be calling the police. I don't know why he hadn't called the police in the first place. My missing wife. I know. Look, it's horror movie logic as well. There's a little bit of that B movie kind of shit going on too, where it's like, in a horror movie, they never, it's like they go down to the basement, even though everyone's saying, don't go into the fucking basement when it opened on its own. What are you doing? Right?
Yeah.
Go the other way. But that's just the way these things go. So it has to happen for the game to work out. But at the same time, I'd like a little bit of, like, he's not a cheesy badass like Leon, and then he's not like a believable person either. He's just, yeah. But you reminded me of there's a great trophy when you find a lockpick early on in the game. Or no, it's when you use a lockpick, I think, for the first time, and you get a trophy that says Master of Unlocking. Which is like, there's a line from the first Resident Evil game where they find like a key or a lockpick or something. I remember Barry's, wow, a lockpick. Jill, I think you should have this since you are the master of unlocking things. Something to that.
Yeah.
Is that on her resume? Master of unlocking things. Fuck's sake. But do you think it's funny how they've gone like well out of their way to not show Ethan's face?
Yeah, because obviously you see Mia's, but like even when it goes to first person with Mia, you see her reflection in the water, and you never have that moment with Ethan.
But even as Mia looking at Ethan, like they always have either he's lying on his face or he's got mold on his face, or like they do everything they can.
They never designed him, I guess. They never gave him a design.
Weird though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is really weird.
Seems deliberate. But I don't know why. Like, cause I don't know if it's like, is it to make the player feel like they could be the protagonist? Ethan? But at the same time, it's like, well, you can't really achieve that because, like, you'd need to like never reveal who Ethan is at all in that case and give Ethan leather gloves or something, so that you can't attach any race or gender to this person, and therefore the player can be the person. You know what I mean? Whereas Ethan clearly has an identity and clearly is a certain person and has his own voice and stuff. So
maybe
therefore
from the series.
Maybe we find out in Village.
They're
probing Eric now. Do we see his fucking face?
I found it interesting was you remember like the symbology with 8, which is the like kind of fetus thing.
Yes.
That they seem to be going on about with their sigils and stuff.
Yeah.
And in Marguerite's section, when you go through the Raven door or the Crow door, and there's like the little case thing where you're going to make the serum, and it tells you the D series specimens.
Yeah, it looks like the little Voldemort fucking fetus.
Yeah, and it's like almost the exact same
shape,
kind of shape and look and everything like that. So it has me wonder now, and obviously Eric will know, and it just has me thinking about whether or not.
To be fucking wondering big time now. Oh my god, why did I never click that?
Yeah,
That's
it's like
good. That's
you know,
good.
because Mia obviously would have been infected at one point.
Mm.
Now, does it carry on somewhat into her child? Is
Yeah.
her child's kind of AD series, I guess, kind of thing that
Maybe.
they plan on using in Village?
Maybe.
But I just thought, yeah, I just thought that was there's a lot, there's some stuff in 7 that's like you
But
could just
Mia's
walk
cured
past
at the end.
Yeah, but you know, is she though? Like,
How cured is someone?
How cured is someone?
No, oh, well, actually, but maybe you're onto something. Like Mia's maybe cured. Maybe Ethan never was though. And maybe Ethan is carrying the mold and he's after passing it on or something like that. Like, I don't know.
Sounds
Like
like
maybe
it.
that's why they feel like we need to keep Ethan going forward or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought about Resident Evil 7 here, guys.
Sorry, yeah. Look, we can't help it.
It was
Okay?
just
It's speculation.
that
Little
shape
observation.
that it's so similar that it's like there's some stuff in 7 where if it carries off into 8, then there's going to be little things scattered through 7 that's going to carry through somewhat
must
to
be
8.
important. Yeah, they must be.
Yeah, that's one thing that I just thought of.
Can I say, right? Of all the weapons that Jack Baker decides to use, and let's face it, he's probably the most interesting or the most fun villain in the game because he comes back every so often and he even sounds funny sometimes. Like there's nothing like watching a big blob go, Ethan, yoo-hoo, Ethan. But the scariest weapon that I find that he uses in the whole weapon is the big fucking shovel. That's scary to me than a big scissor because like it's just that.
Is it because it's more believable?
No, it's just well, I suppose it is, but at the same time, it's the brute force of something flat going straight through fucking someone's head, like, and when he sticks it into your stomach as well and lifts you up or whatever, and you're like, that's a fucking shovel. Fuck me, like, like that does not have a sharp or serrated edge, like that's just fucking.
No, it's a spade, and they do. Spades are sharp.
Ah, yeah, but that would take some serious raw force. I know he's a supernatural being, but like
Yeah.
more so than like the axe or the big fucking whatever it is with like barbed wire on it, and then
that thing's weird. I don't get that one at all.
I don't like that one. That's weird. And the scissor chainsaw thing, I also don't like that. I kind of wish it was just a normal.
Yeah, just a normal chainsaw, because it's like what's better than a chainsaw? A 2 chainsaw.
Yeah. But he's got a Darth Maul version of a chainsaw, and you're like, this is ridiculous. But I have to say that is definitely the best boss fight in the game. Has to be.
Yeah, I remember playing it for the first time. I was like, what do I even do here?
Right.
Yeah, like there's no way I'm like, because I know this guy can't die. So what's the fucking point? I thought there was something else to it, some other trick. Because it has been up to that point, isn't it? There's always been a little thing so that you can get away. But no, yeah, you gotta
pick up the chainsaw and fucking. And I love when the chainsaws clash, and you're like, this is just a cool fucking moment, like. And the fact that then to progress, obviously, when you break open the door, the chainsaw breaks, so you can't take it with you. But it's not like he just drops the chainsaw.
Yeah.
Doesn't, you know what I mean? That would be stupid. You'd be like, why? But because it breaks to get you out, you're like, okay, that's just unfortunate. But I did use it. He wasn't like leaving the chainsaw.
It is unlockable though, isn't it?
Is it? For like
I don't know. I don't know.
I've never seen that.
Maybe not.
That'd be mad. I was watching Pagan playing through the live stream as well, quite a bit of it. She nearly did that whole fight with just a knife.
Wow.
She ran out of ammo, and she was like, I'll just fucking try now, and she was knifing the fuck out of him, and got him down with the knife, and it took her a while to pick up the chainsaw, but like she was fucking him up with the knife. I was like, this is impressive. Actually, someone's comment in it was just, this is impressive, in like all caps. But it was super impressive. Is that the best boss fight in the game, or does someone think there's a boss fight that's better?
I know there's nothing better than when you get to Zoe.
Marguerite's pretty good. What you say when you get to Zoe?
And you get to Zoe and Mia, and then Ethan, and the big blob comes like, there's some Resident Evil boss fight right there.
There we go.
The last one when you stab Aunt Rhodey in the neck, heavily, then she becomes a big face.
I really dislike that last boss fight. I really dislike it.
So
I
good.
really wish it was just the little girl hitting you with all these horrible visions of Mia with the chainsaw and stuff. And as soon as you get the thing in, and she says, "Why does everyone hate me?" and her fucking eyes are bleeding black, and she dies. I think that's a wonderful ending. As soon as she turns into that big fucking,
It's silly, isn't it?
it's really silly. It's really and it's like, I thought I just hit her with the thing that kills her. So why did she turn into this thing? How does that even work? It's silly. It is silly. It's a silly just thrown in there big boss fight where it's like, this is not necessary.
Yeah, no, I think Jack and Marguerite are probably the best ones.
Yeah, the Marguerite kind of spider form.
She's fucking freaky.
Yeah, that's probably like one of the better boss fights, in the like, I don't want to do it kind of sense. They get dreaded every time. It's genuinely probably the scariest fight in the game.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. It's really dark. That section is really fucking like, I mean, in terms of light, you're kind of relying on just the flame from your torch, or if you have it. The little flamethrower. Is it a flamethrower? It's not really. It's kind of it's a type of flamethrower. But
throws flame.
It does. It fucking does. Successfully. Is the game scary? You were talking about like one of the scarier fights is Marguerite. Is the game scary?
Well, yeah.
Yes, it is. 100% scary. 100%. I read it and look at it. Depends on what scares people, right? It really does. People are scared by different things. But the producers were talking about Ori 8 and were saying that they wanted to tone down the fear in Ori 8. Right, and again, that depends on what you find scary. Some people might find Ori 8 scarier, because as proud as they were of Ori 7, there were too many people who wouldn't play it because they were too scared of it.
Couldn't get through it either.
Yeah. So they wanted to make a game that had a broader audience. So that's why they thought about how many people liked Ori 4, and that's one of the reasons they brought in so many Ori 4 elements. To make it kind of more accessible, I heard.
I appreciate this.
Yeah, I appreciate that because, oh my god, I find Ori... I still, of the ones I've played, I find Ori 7 the scariest. I really do. I don't know how it couldn't be. It's so intimate. It's so, like, in your face. Literally, sometimes.
Yeah. It's even if you don't find that scary, like, you can play it on Madhouse, which will certainly scare the shit out of you because things will appear, not the right locations, and keys are moved around, antique coins are in different locations, and if that doesn't scare you, then it's available in VR.
Wow, yeah. Like, was it built? I feel like, was it built with VR in mind? The game?
I think they were building the engine with VR in mind, and I don't know necessarily about that particular game. But once they started testing VR, then they decided to make the full game in VR. Yeah.
It's just that there's some of the scares, in particular with like Marguerite, but it happens to me as well, where they're like right in your face, right up against the screen. And if you're sitting back on the couch, those bits are actually a little bit cheesy and not that scary. They're not as scary as some of the other scares I find. Like if you're just looking at a lot of teeth. But in VR... that would be really fucking scary because they're right up in your face. So I feel like some of those scares are built for VR.
Oh yeah, as they were making it, they're like, keep the VR in mind. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I hope does 8 say anything about VR, Eric, when you were loading that up?
Not that I noticed. No, not that I noticed. No, I didn't see any VR option.
That'd be a pity if they don't.
I wonder if the action heaviness of it affected whether it could be VR or not. Not that action games can't be played in VR, but just with the way the game is possibly built, we haven't experienced it yet, but maybe like if you were to play it, you'd be like, you couldn't play this in VR. It'd be a fucking headache or something. I don't know. Well, maybe it's just fucking crazy.
Choice.
Let us be the judges.
Yeah.
We'll tell you.
I think that would be class actually in VR because of the depth of the map. So because I think if you were playing 8 in VR and when you go into Castle Demetrisk and you're seeing the Grand Hall, that's how you pronounce it, by the way.
Castle Demetrisk.
Yeah.
Everyone's been debating that, by the way. Everyone has literally been debating.
Well, they say it in the game. But anyway, when you go into the Grand Hall of Castle Demetrisk, that in VR would be class.
Yeah, I can imagine it looking really, really immersive. And that's another thing about Ori 7. Whether you're playing VR or not, I find that the game is definitely immersive. by taking that first person perspective, but also just the general lighting and all the horrible shit you see in that. But what the fuck is wrong with these people? Evelyn, Jesus, even if you want a family, surely you want a clean house. What is wrong with you? Get them to clean. What the fuck? Fix the lights. Why would you want them walking around in the dark? You fucked up child. Anyway. She's really, whatever about wanting to kill people, like she really has to get an interior decorator in there. That's what I think.
For sure.
In terms of
who were the interior decorators again?
Well, there was an architect or something, wasn't there, that Eric was talking about earlier on?
They brought some architect in and had some builders, and I think they had like some comments, or they left like a letter or something. They were like, "This is weird. This stuff is weird. Why do they want us to do this?"
What was the significance again of the architect, Eric, from that letter that you find?
Well, just that it was talking about that they were implanting the shadow stuff.
No, but was there not? Maybe I'm totally remembering this wrong now. I don't know this game inside out, but was it not the same architect who built the Spencer Mansion?
They worked on it, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was. So like the bakers really liked this guy's work or something.
Yeah, that's why they have a painting of it in their hallway.
Wow. See, I didn't know that. See,
so they actually
cool.
would have. Yeah, and the date of it was like 1993. So they would have visited that or something, or there were fans of it, and they probably thought, that's dope. I can't wait to build my own house and install crazy shit in it. And they hired the same guys to build their house.
There you go. That's a cool connection, though. Why would this house also have stupid fucking 3-headed dog puzzles to get out the front door? It's because it's the same fucking architects. How annoying would it be, though, if you were just like, you have to go get something from the car, and you're like, who the fuck moved the dog head? In general, normal life. Am I right in saying the scorpions that are on like the scorpion door, or like the snakes on the snake doors, or whatever that is, that's real scorpions that have been pinned to the fucking door?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. When I was referencing the like RPD had all the club key and the ace key and the diamond key. So I like that in 7, they got a fucking scorpion and pinned it to the wall, and then they got another scorpion and pinned it to a key and went, this key, that door, good.
And they're obviously like ridiculously large scorpions.
Yeah, they're fucking holy shit, yeah.
So I think that was also somewhat explained a little bit in the DLC.
Really?
Well, the one where you play as Jack's brother. What's his name? Joe?
Joe,
yeah.
Yeah. There's like mutated alligators. So they're big, massive alligators. So it could be that Evelyn is actually mutating some of the wildlife around her.
That's what Joe does, I think. He wrestles alligators.
That sounds like a Joe thing to do.
It does sound like a Joe to do. Doesn't he have like this big metal bracket or like knuckle duster?
Getting one, yeah.
He gets it towards the end. He gets one and just starts fucking
beats the shit out of Molded. That's hilarious. Look, we have to ask this because we always do, and it's great to watch Eric fucking scratch his head. What's your favorite part of this game?
I think for me, it was I think it was possibly the ship.
Really? Now that's a hot take. People hate the ship.
They hate the ship?
Yeah, it's
I hate playing it.
Widespread over the internet, people hate that section of the game. Yeah, playing it. I think playing it.
Yeah, I didn't like necessarily playing it because it probably was the most challenging part, just because you're going up against enemies that you've kind of been encountering up to this point, but you've been stripped of all your equipment, so you have to kind of start again nearly.
Yeah.
But I liked it because it was the bit that explains everything, is the bit that ties the whole thing together, and it just starts introducing stuff like Evelyn. It really shows how powerful she is. Like that cutscene where the ship, she just tears it in half. I was like, this is fucking cool. This is so badass. And the flashback sequences where you're Mia kind of walking around and you can see one of the soldiers and he's like getting sick, and you can see Evelyn on the staircase, and then it just flashes back to reality and Evelyn is right there in front of you. Within the cutting, I think, in that sequence, I just think that entire sequence is so well constructed. And yes, this playing it is not great. I admit that, but everything else about it, I just think is fantastic. It was for me. That's like in Until Dawn. You know, when you're Mike going into the asylum with
Right,
the
and to play is stressful as fuck.
gun.
Yeah.
Right. You have
Yeah.
a shotgun, don't you?
Yes.
Because that's the bit that almost explains what's going on, and it shows like it just elevates the game, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not fun to play.
No, because it's it's stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, and all you can think is, I want to get out of here. I want to get out of here. I want to get out of here. I imagine for a lot of people, the thing about the ship, I think that people really dislike is not necessarily like, I think people do like the explanation, the story and stuff, but it's you start playing as Mia and you expect that it's going to be a short section.
It goes on for a while, yeah.
And it goes on for quite a while, and I think people got that similar feeling, when they played The Last of Us Part 2 and you started to play as Abby. And it takes a while before it sinks in and you realize just how long you're going to play as Abby, but you think it's only going to be a short flashback, and then you're like, hold on a second, I'm still Abby. This flashback is taking a while, and then you go, oh, this is the rest of the game. It's not a flashback. But yeah, I agree. I think it's a really, really, the ship section is particularly strong. Eric, what's your favorite part of the game?
I was actually going to say the ship section too.
Really?
Yeah, I was going to, based on the exact same reason. The cutting, the editing, and then actually explaining everything, and going back to when you have the flashback moment and Evelyn has escaped, and then Mia gets that machine gun and just cocks it, and it's like, oh shit, we're gonna fuck some shit up. That's great. The puzzle section of it, getting the fuses, is very like, really?
Yeah, I hate that. I do hate that. That's like probably one of the worst bits of the game.
Yeah, so you have like your low point and your high point, both in like the one kind of section of the game.
Yeah. Because I think the bit when Ethan then is freed and he's like cocking a shotgun and thinking, gonna fuck some shit up. The mine section is so shit though. The mine bit isn't good. Yeah.
I think that's the worst part of the game.
Does that feel like you're nearly at the end, but there's just another little bit of dragon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they're just trying to drag out the length of the game at that point because they realize it's fucking short.
Yeah, it kind of just feels like, hey, do you want to fight all those enemies that you just fought again? It's like, not really. I kind of went through all that, and now you're going to go through it again.
Yeah,
I fought the crawler guys and the normal guys and the fat guys and the guys with the big arms. I fought all them already in the ship section. I don't need to do this again.
Well, that's the thing about this game that I will say. Like, the gameplay is really, really good, and it's at its best when you're just thinking on your feet to try to get through a situation that's intense, I think, and also the puzzle solving. It's not a fun combat game.
No.
And you're not playing it for that. So, yeah, towards the end when you're getting lots of those enemies and it's like, this is really samey. It's not like I have an arsenal of weapons and there's lots of like interesting ways I can kill these things. You know, like versus Gears of War when you can chainsaw shit and throw grenades and fucking, you know what I mean? It's not like that. Or even like RE4 if you want to stay within Resident Evil, where by the end you have lots of options of weapons and there's lots of different enemy types and they're keeping it kind of interesting. In this game, because it remains grounded and there's not like crazy new monsters towards the end of the game, it does feel you're just like, okay, fuck off. Fuck off and let me get to the end of this game, because I've seen I've seen the reveal now. Now I just want to finish it. You know, I'm already there. So
yeah, I think that's probably why that ship sequence feels like it should have been shorter. Doesn't it say like you're about to enter a point of no return or something? Is there a warning like that?
I think just before you decide to cure either me or Zoe, it does something like that, doesn't it?
Yeah. Because you literally can't go
I can't remember
around and explore or anything like that. Like you're pretty much the home stretch, but that home stretch is fucking long.
Yeah, it makes you think you're about to end the game. This is the final piece. Like even when the boat gets hit, you're expecting, all right, well, this is my final boss fight right now.
Yeah.
But actually, it's not, and you're gonna be like traversing for a long, long time beyond that. And actually, you've kind of hit maybe a 3/4 point, not quite a half point, but like there's a whole other quarter of the game, I would say.
Yeah.
As opposed to an end game. For me, there's kind of 3 parts that I could say are my favorites. They're short-lived. They're not like big long sections, but they always stick out to me. One of them is, even though I'm scared so fucking easy, I really appreciate the horror in this game. Like I actually do. I like think it's a good thing to say this game is scary. And the image of Mia coming up the stairs towards you.
Exorcist style.
Oh man, it's so fucking scary because like it's pitch black, and as you're going, you can just see the silhouette come out of the dark. I think it's masterfully done. It's now by the time her face comes up to your face, it's not so scary, but just watching her crawl up the stairs and then you backing up and being like fuck. I love that. So I love that bit. I also really love the chainsaw fight, which we brought up, but also the first fight with Jack, not the bit in the hall, but with the car. That sequence is brilliant. It's so good.
Or in the garage.
You're freaking out. You don't know what to do, and then you get the car, and you think you fucked him up, and then he takes control of the car, and he's about to put you into those beams, and you're like, holy shit, like this guy is fucked up. And then when he grabs the gun and shoots his own head off, and you're like, this guy is fucking nuts.
Did you know that
I love that section.
You can do that fight without ever getting into the car?
Really?
Yeah, because I played it again recently when I got on the PS4, like the full edition with all the DLC, and I forgot about getting in the car. So he then got in the car and started to fucking swirl around the place, and I was like, holy fuck, what do I do? And then he kind of just killed himself.
Oh, right. He just crashes and it blows up then if you don't do it?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's great. So that section then kind of is on rails, even though you are playing it and you don't really know what to fucking do. I think it's just a well-constructed sequence. As well as soon as the cop gets killed from behind, and you're just like, oh fuck, like this guy is relentless. It's a really, really, really good scene. But anyway, those are some of our favorite moments and our thoughts on RE7. What I'd love to do now is to probe Eric a little bit and to get it. And because for the rest of this episode, it's going to be a short enough section, but we're going to do a non-spoiler review of Ori Village. Eric's take on the game, haven't played the whole thing. By the time we all get to play it, then we won't need to do a whole episode where we do non-spoilers and then spoilers. We'll be able to jump straight into spoilers because at the start, me and Adam can say whether we emulate some of Eric's non-spoiler feelings or not. But we'll be able to literally do a deep dive discussion on the whole game. So that's kind of one of the great things about being able to do kind of non-spoilers now, with one of us having played it and us being able to kind of ask the questions that we feel we need to ask. But Eric, do you want to give us your general non-spoiler? Well, okay, let me start here. Let me ask you this. Is it important to have played, since we've just discussed RE7 and the reasons why we discussed it, is it important to have played RE7 before you play RE8 without giving away why?
So it does actually have a recap video. There is a recap video, but for all, I think still yes, for the extent of getting attached to Ethan, to Mia, and to kind of understand their sort of relationship and stuff like that. I think yes. And also it's a really good game, so just go play with 7.
Okay, so that's a nice way of bridging into this. So Eric, we might ask you some questions if we have some that we feel we could ask that haven't brought up yourself yet. But I'd love you to just tell us a bit about Ori Village without spoiling the game. What's your take on it?
I prefer it to 7.
Wow. Whoa. That was good. Is that it? End of episode.
Really good. The enemies are class. The Lycans and the sort of thrall chaps that you would have seen in the castle demo. They're really cool. Graphically is an improvement. I think people's face and hair is definitely much better, and some of the designs and stuff for it. It's actually kind of like the map is almost like Midgar in God of War.
Right.
You do something and then it will open up a new area and get like new the map is almost like that. It's very actually explorative, and yet again sort of reminds me
of Metroidvania.
Sort of like Metro, but there's even areas you could go to that you don't have to go to at all. So there's like little secret alcoves and stuff. So it actually almost reminded me of even like God of War, but also like Bloodborne and Dark Souls, where there's little areas you could go to that like you wouldn't have even thought
And is
to
there
go.
encounters in those areas, or just things that you can collect?
Sometimes not. Sometimes, but always there will always be something to get. But sometimes they have encounters, other times they don't. But
I wonder if that's why so many people are saying that the game is such different lengths on their first playthrough. It really depends on maybe how much you explore, how much you push on.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then the combat I think is quite improved because you have the Duke, the Merchant, and it brings back that Resident Evil 4 upgrading your weapons, like the tune up is what it was called in Resident Evil 4. But you also can get attachments for your weapons that also gives that extra boost and stuff. That's really good. The whole game's great. It's a great game.
What size is it?
It's a
Install
big size. Oh, it's 30 gigabytes. That's actually really fast.
That surprises me. That really surprises me.
Good.
But that, yeah, in a good way. And did you find, like, did you have any lags or any problems of any kind, or any
No,
glitches?
and the loading speed is fucking so fast.
Right, and you're playing on PS5, yeah?
Yeah, playing on PS5, you just press continue, a couple of seconds, you're in the game. That's like glass.
Wow. And just when you were saying about like the combat and stuff, like obviously we were saying about RE7, where it's like the combat isn't particularly fun. It's more that it's kind of a scary game and it's stressful and you just survived encounters. In this case, where there's more combat, is the combat fun?
Yeah.
Or is fun the wrong word to use? I don't know.
Stressful. It's fucking stressful.
But even watching you play the demo, like when Chris, when you were doing the castle demo, the combat looked good.
No, the combat's really good, but the fucking the Lycans and the Moroka, which are the name of the thralls,
Cool.
they're pretty fucking stressful as fuck. Because sometimes actually, you might go into an area and as you're going along, and you can hear the Lycans growls maybe, and then you might look up and they're all like perched kind of above you or up on high ground, like watching you and shit.
Oh man, that sounds both cool and terrifying.
Yeah, so they did a really fucking good job with all the enemies in it.
Right. And is it scarier than 7?
Yes.
From your perspective. It is.
You think
fuck.
so?
Oh shit. I've heard a lot of people say not at all, but that's interesting.
I don't know how people are saying that 7 is scarier. I'm like, are you fucking shit me? When I was first playing it and I had the headphones on, it's
that's a different experience, isn't it? Playing games like this with headphones is a different experience.
Yeah. There was one bit I was doing and I could hear noises that slowly became the sounds of the Lycans, and I was like, I'm not looking. I just kind of kept moving like I was like, I'm not looking. I think it's I think it's way scarier. Stressful, and then there's a segment in it which I think is the scariest segment Resident Evil has ever done.
Cool.
Holy fuck.
So that's why I'm kind of thinking.
I could take a guess at what that might be. And I think it has something to do with one of the 4 lords, because I saw them and there's one of them where I was like, I'm not looking forward to that one. And I have a sneaking suspicion that one is going to be the scariest one.
How does it rank for you then out of the entire series?
Oh, fuck you.
It's obviously quite fresh at the moment, so it might change, but just at the moment, where do you think it ranks?
I think for me, it's up there with 4.
Wow.
So could
Like,
this
currently
where it stands, like it could be your favorite
Well,
or second favorite?
4 is my favorite.
Okay, so this could be your second favorite Resident.
This could be my second favorite, yeah.
See, at the moment you prefer to RE2 remake.
Oh shit, yeah, that's good too, isn't it?
It's just that I know that you gave that such high praise, you know, like.
Well, Resi 2 is fucking amazing as well. Yeah, they're all kind of up around. So Resi 4 would still be at the top, but then I think Resi 2 and Resi 8 would be kind of on par, maybe.
It's just
for different reasons.
The ranking, I think, is just interesting because the initial reviews that came out were like glowing. They were great. Mm-hmm. And the more and more reviews that came out, not that the game is rated badly by anyone, but there's a few, like some of them are 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10. like crazy praise, up there as one of the best Resident Evil games. And some are like 6 out of 10, very disappointing. And it's these are official outlets, and it's just quite interesting. And for a lot of people, it seems to be that the story is the reason they rate it low. And for other people, the story is the reason they rate it quite high. Everyone agrees that the gameplay is good, you know. so it's interesting. So it's obviously there must be something in the story that's like, I don't know, really divisive or a hot take for people. I don't really, obviously we don't know what it is. But Eric, without spoiling anything, how did you find the story of the game?
That's
it's like, don't tell us any specifics, but like, did you like it?
Like, is it a good story?
Oh, yeah, no, I liked it. It's a good story. Yeah,
that's it.
I can't really go. If I start to talk more, I'm afraid I'll go into something that spoils. All right, I'm afraid to spoil it.
Well, here's something I want to ask you. Good. Right, here's something I want to ask you. How much do you want one of us to play the game so that you can talk about it?
So much.
That to me is a good thing. I think that's a good thing. That means that there's. I've also
delivery guys to hurry up with delivering that game.
I know, fuck's sake, like it's
why is it delayed? Like, that's mad.
It's with DPD, and I don't know what, and so it's with them now,
and I got it before the game was officially released.
Yeah, look, I was in touch with who I ordered it from, and they dispatched it on the 5th of May. With the hopes of it getting to me by the 7th, because it was a pre-order, and they were like, you know, so the people that I ordered it from did nothing wrong. They genuinely tried to get it to me because they showed me the date that they dispatched it in an email. Because I did get in touch because I was a little bit annoyed because I had a kind of a clear weekend to play it, with the hopes of being able to get around to talking about it and stuff. And now it's like, even if I get it, I have a week of work, so being able to play it the odd time here and there is not really the immersive experience that I wanted. But it's just, unfortunately, the courier that has it just haven't delivered it yet. So, and then as soon as it got to the weekend, I was like, oh, that's it. They're not delivering until Monday. Like, if it hasn't gone out on a Saturday, then there's no way they're delivering on a Sunday. So I won't see it now till Monday. Well, I hope I see it Monday. Yeah, because I'm really looking forward to playing it. Like, I've heard good things. Another thing that because I have followed this game quite a lot since the trailer came out. Like, I'm really interested in all the things that people are saying about it. And now trying really hard to avoid any spoilers online. But the developers are saying that they wanted to make a feeling of an amusement park, like a horror themed amusement park, where 7 was more like a haunted house experience, like something you might do on Halloween. You go to one of these awful, scary haunted house experiences. That this one was more like a scary amusement park with different amusement rides that you go to.
Yeah,
Do you feel they captured that?
That is said it. I can sort of see that because each lord has their own unique area, almost like an amusement park.
I mean, that's sick to me. Like, that's cool. Does each lord then, because we know about the 4 lords, do they?
I don't know about the 4 lords. I didn't even know there was 4 lords in it.
Oh.
Well, there's 4 lords in it.
Sorry. Sorry.
All I know is that lady with the big hat. That's all I know.
Okay. Well, do they all have a different vibe? That's all I want to ask.
Yes.
Cool.
Cool. Each area feels like a different Resident Evil game.
Ooh.
Now that's a hot take. That's cool. That's
with one of them going that one step further. That almost is slightly more evil within PT.
Oh shit! Really?
Nice.
Yeah.
Fuck. I am not ready, but I also I can't wait. I've never really been this eager to play a horror game. I'm always like, I can wait for a horror game because I'm kind of nervous about them, and I'm like, they're never at the top of my radar at all. You know, I'm more driven towards action adventure or RPGs or whatever. And this game, I've watched everyone's review on it pretty much, and I just can't fucking wait to play it, and I don't know why. Even though every time I've played the demo, I've been fucking shitting it, and I've been nervous. I'm just so intrigued by all the mythology that they've already set up and the imagery that's in it. And
this is also a non-spoiler thing.
Right.
It's to do with like because in Resident Evil they always have collectibles and stuff. You
Oh
know
yeah,
what I mean? Yeah. So one of they have like the like from Resident Evil 4, 5, and 2. I think they have like figurines you can collect, so you can obviously view everything in detail. But they do concept art as well. Within the rather than just having concept art, where you're like, oh, that's a pretty painting. They actually have little boxes that sort of explain their reason for the design.
Oh, I love that shit.
Nice.
That's cool.
So that stuff is really, really good because you look at it and go, "Oh my god, I never really thought about that," but now you said it. That's awesome.
Oh, cool. So they like give like.
Have you looked at the trophies yet?
Yes, that's how I found out that the game is clearable in under 3 hours. I don't know how,
That's
but
ridiculous.
yeah.
And does it look like a fun or annoying platinum?
Some of them will be annoying. There's 2 or 3 of them that are in the mercenaries bonus.
Ah, shit.
I was just about to ask
Yeah.
you how is the mercenaries mode, or have you tried it yet?
I have tried it. Yeah, actually, I tried it, and
and
it's
how did you
not
find it?
not bad. It's actually pretty good.
It kind of looked like one of those old arcade light gun shooters.
Yeah, so every enemy has like a green health bar, and you shoot them and there's points, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
you can hit the gold orbs for extra time. You hit blue orbs and you get new abilities, but you can stack up the abilities, so you can have as many abilities as you want, and you can kill them. And then at the end of each stage, there's 3 areas per stage. So at the end of each area, you get to buy stuff from the Duke, be it new weapons, ammo, or even upgrades for your weapons to make them more powerful.
That sounds cool. It sounds like there's like real nice in-game incentives and stuff.
Yeah.
Would you say, obviously you can do that speedrun thing, but in terms of actually just playing the game, would you say that this game is a longer game than 7?
Yeah, because I think I cleared 7. I think first time maybe in about 7 or 8 hours, but this one then was like nearly 10 hours.
Did you?
I think so. Maybe.
Wow.
All right. They're not too far off though, are they? They're kind of similar. If you were staying on rails as such, like if you were kind of pushing on
I think if you're staying on rails, it'd be about the same in length.
Yeah. Okay. Which is not a bad thing. Like I think you can have a horror game too long. I always found that Ori 4, as highly as I praise it, I think it's one of the best games out there, and it did so much for the industry. But I think there's moments where that game overstays its welcome. I think there's moments where you're like, fuck me, like this is dragging. There's moments in that castle, and I think by the time you get to that island, you're like there's some cool shit on the island, but at the same time you're like, another fucking area? Are you kidding me? And how many times are they going to take Ashley off me? So like, there's nothing wrong with a horror game that's kind of short in length as long as it keeps its pace and atmosphere throughout. I think that's quite a good thing.
Well, what makes the game long, I guess, is your determination to move forward, isn't it?
That's it. Like, yeah, if like knowing me now, my play time will be twice Eric's. I'll just be like, yeah, no, fuck this, I'm saving, and it'll take me like about an hour to leave a save room.
Is there anything neat regarding the DualSense in the game at all?
Oh,
I didn't really notice anything vibration wise. Maybe there is, but I didn't really notice. When you equip the sniper though, that thing is class. Because when you go to aim, there's actually it resists against you to aim, as to kind of almost this idea this is a heavy sniper like, and then when you feel it in the trigger then as well.
So is this the best you've felt from the adaptive triggers so far of any game that's come out so far?
For the triggers, yeah. I mean, apart from obviously the demo that's made to show off the controller, but yeah.
No, yeah. So that's exciting because that there's going to be a lot of like shooter games and stuff. So getting to even just outside of even just Resident Evil to get to feel what that might feel like is cool, really cool. I don't think I have anything else to ask except maybe just this. How is Ethan this time around? Has he improved? Is he better? Is he at least better?
There are some moments when he's improved. He seems to improve when he's in a much more confident mindset, or when he's getting like more angry.
Okay.
So to speak. So when he's getting frustrated, angry, or slightly confident, he seems to deliver lines better. It's really when he's trying to care or be emotional and sad. It's a bit like, dude, come on, like.
Okay. So is it what, like a slight improvement?
It's
but not a huge
slight improvement from 7, not a huge improvement.
Okay. Okay. Doesn't ruin the game though.
Oh God, no.
Not that I'm saying that Ethan ruined the game in the first game either, but like it is one of the cons I feel of 7. As we talked about, is that your protagonist is pretty boring, and could be interesting if it was a different voice actor. I feel, not to be like really mean to the voice, like it could be the director, the way they directed him. I don't know. Or it could be that they use his worst lines. I don't know, but there's nothing wrong with what he's saying. It's the way he's saying everything. Like someone else saying it with more feeling or more fear in their voice, and they could have really sold it. So that's just my take on Ethan's character. But now I want to hear everyone else's take, whether it's Resident Evil 7, which in the comment section you can go spoilers. So if you haven't played it, guys, maybe beware of that before you jump into the comments. But I mean, at this point, there's spoilers for that game all over the place. So really, you want to just be careful on the internet in general when it comes to Ori 7 if you're trying to keep it fresh for yourself. And when it comes to Ori 8, if you'd please do us a favor, and also any fellow gamers that haven't played it yet, and not post any spoilers in the comments, but do let us know how you're enjoying it and where does it rank for you in terms of Ori games. We'd love to hear you. So if you are watching this on YouTube, do jump down into the comments. That's the most important thing for us, and have a discussion with us about Ori 7 and Ori 8. And also give this video a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and click that notification bell. If this is on audio platforms, you can also touch base with us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Brothers Take, whichever one you prefer to use. Let us know your takes on Ori 7 and also your first non-spoiler impressions of Ori 8. Hit that follow button too if you're listening on audio. We'd greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. We will eventually be talking about Ori 8 when we've all had a chance to talk about it with spoilers. We don't get these games early. Eric did in this case, luckily, but we don't. So it's not like we can put out review copies or like do, big spoiler reviews early on. So it will come a little bit late, when we all get around to it, but we will do it. So please do follow us. Please do check up on us for when that comes out. It's going to be a good one. Thank you very much for listening, everyone. We'll talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hello, everyone.
The horror.
Never mind.
Sorry.
Oh, the horror is right. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Take 3.
These could be at the end for your outtakes.
Blooper reel.
The blooper reel.
Keeping it real.
Go
Hello,
on then,
everyone.
let you go. Go on.
I'll try this again sometime. Don't work with your brothers.